One of the presenter is somebody you should be keen to meet. And this is an opportunity to interact with such personality. It's hard to meet them one-on-one. The name speaks volume. And since we are here, let us utilize this opportunity and ensure we are taking something home. That is the benefit of having this kind of conference. Introducing, I'm not worthy to introduce him, but permit me, based on authority of delegation of power from the head of the civil service of the Federation, permit me to introduce engineer and erudite scholar who has served this country in different capacity as a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Engineer Suleiman Adamu. Welcome, sir. Sir.
Hello? Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's always difficult to be the first to speak after lunch. People, their tummies are very heavy. Some are still not finding their way back. They are feeling lethargic. So the fall seems to be quite lean now, but I hope that you get to have more people coming in due course. I've been asked to just make a presentation on managing strategic stakeholders' relationships. I don't know why the head of service asked me to do this. I'm not a scholar as such. I'm not a management expert. But I have served as minister for nearly 8 years with 4 permanent secretaries. And I think I've built a very good relationship with almost all of them. And we still remain the best of friends. So I think probably that's why she thought that I might be able to share some experience. So what I'm going to say is not anything in the textbook or anything, but it's coming from my heart and just the way I see things should be. I'll start quickly by just making a quick definition from AI, artificial intelligence, so I don't have to credit anybody. What is strategic relationship? I think that's the most important thing. And this is something that involves developing and maintaining long-lasting, mutually beneficial connections with key external entities to achieve set goals. Now, because this is a civil service event, the International Conference on Civil Service, I thought I should put what I'm going to say in the context that should be, what is the relationship? What should be how do you relate? How should there be a relationship between the civil servants and the political leadership? I think that is the whole essence, and that is why I was asked to be here. Because there are other relationships. There is a relationship between husband and wife. There is a relationship between teacher and student. But I think the context here basically is to speak about the relationship between those parties. And so the first thing I've done is to say within that context, who are the stakeholders. And the strategic stakeholders in government will be the political class and the elective officials. That is one. So please go to slide 3. And then, of course, the civil servants. And then there are external stakeholders, such as businesses, NGOs, and the citizenry. So for the purpose of the presentation, we're just going to talk about the political class and the civil service. The political class, the civil service is one group, is monolithic. You just have a structure that is the civil service that is headed by maybe the head of the civil service. And I dare say, let me just say that it's not what I'm saying, although I'm reflecting the federal structure, but it is also, it's something somewhat similar even at state level. You have the governor, you have the state assembly, and so on and so forth. So whether you are a state representative or a federal representative, I think everything flows. So the political class, on the other hand, is a bit fragmented. You have the executive arm and you have the legislative arm. For us, in the federal structure, especially those of us that worked under or have worked under the federal structure, the dynamics are different, even between the executive arm and the legislative arm. So how we deal with your people in the executive arm is different from the way you deal with the legislative arm. So they have different roles and different interplays, in relation to the civil service. Of course, the civil service as well has its own complications. You have your own culture. You have your own traditions. And they are very, sometimes, endemic. They are quite encased. So that is also another thing, but that is not the subject of this discussion. Civil service, you can talk to yourselves. So in the context of the most important stakeholder interface and relationships, I have identified between the presidency and the head of the civil service, office of the head of the civil service, between the legislature and the ministries, ministers and MDAs, and between the ministers themselves as chief executive or chief executive MDAs. And please go to, there's no moving the slide with the discussion. Go on slide 3, second page of slide 3. Second page, please, of the slide. Next page. Yes. So between the ministers and their permanent secretaries, that is, there are also some dynamics, there are some interplay there. So go to channel 4, please. Ideally, all these sets of relationships are supposed to be symbiotic and complementary for effective governance and public good. However, in reality, this situation is not like that. There's always a lot of tension. There seems to be a tug of war between politicians or elected officials and the civil servants. The political class, usually, they see that when they're in government, is that government is like a trophy. We have taken over, and the system must subjugate itself to the whims and caprices of the politician, is what we say. We are the owners, we are in charge, And they have limited time or tenure because it's 4 years, 8 years, so they're very much in a hurry to implement and take credit for their programs, So some of us, have a lot of ego and think that, being in charge, that we tell you what to do. You can't even advise us. You don't have to take your advice, especially when it comes to navigating the rules and regulations of the civil service. And we generally destroy the civil service because the civil servants are custodians of all the records of government and so on and what has been going on. And you need them to implement. You don't have a choice, but you're also not sure that, you trust them. So, and a lot of politicians come to office there without any idea of how the government is supposed to operate. You don't know. Just come, you're in government, and you think that it's like running your house or your private business. And you don't understand that there are rules and regulations governing the system. And some of them, out of that mistrust, they think that the civil servants are going to manipulate them. And, they don't like to, there's just no trust. I'm saying we because I've been a minister, so I'm from that angle. But before I started, my first role was a civil servant like you. Before I went into private sector and became a minister. So, yes, it was a political appointment, but in a lot of cases, I see myself as a blend. And I used to call myself a technocrat in politics, not the extreme politician that you can talk about. So, on the other hand, you civil servants, you characterize political leadership as bullies. They are overbearing. They are rule breakers. And they can, if you are not careful, they can land you in trouble. You see them as they are just coming. They will come and go. Music like musical chairs. They will go around the music stores. This one will sit. Somebody will not have a seat. Soldier come, soldier go, barrack remain. Please go forward with you are not going with the slides with me. But anyway, it's good to listen. Next page, next page. Next page. Yeah, two pages behind. Okay. And then, of course, okay, I've mentioned the inexperience and not knowledgeable about governance, but really not ready to accept the reality and play by the rules. A lot of politicians are like that. That's the way you perceive them. So these perceptions and realities tend to create bad blood and disharmony with attendant consequences of poor governance and negation of duty to the detriment of public good. So mine is just to give a few tips from my experience. I didn't consult any textbook or anything. I think most of you are civil servants. So when you get the slides, you can look at the aspect from the political leadership. But for you as civil servants, to take time, to make good the use of our time, I'll just go straight to the next table. Next page. So I put a few tips for the politicians who don't seem to be here, but at least for the civil service, you should have an open mind. Study the political leader that you have. So have an open mind. What kind of person is he? What makes him tick? What has his, is he, just try to understand the person you are going to work with. It's very important. That is the number one thing. Then you need to be open and transparent. There is this principle that we're talking about, the need to know and the right to know. If the political leader, be he a minister or president or whoever or governor, if he needs to know, make sure you respect that needs to know principle, so he needs to know. So inform him. If he has a right to know, again, don't hide it. Make sure he has the right to know. So apply that principle of need to know and right to know properly. Show respect and take directives and instructions seriously, but also cautiously, because I don't say that you should take all kinds of directives that may lead you to jail. That's not what I'm talking about. But you need to take them cautiously, so you have to have a way to navigate yourself. Cultivate and earn the confidence of the boss, of your leadership. You need to find a way to do that. And never shy away from telling truth to power, but do so intelligently. You need to tell your boss, sir, this is the way it is done. But you don't need to do it vexatiously or disrespectfully. Try to find a way. Invite him to your house for dinner and or her, and have some discussion, and find a way to do it intelligently. It's very important. Be competent and knowledgeable in your work. If the leader knows that you know what you're doing, you know your audience, he will respect you. Anywhere competence is respected. Once people know that you're competent, they respect you. Avoid any form of confrontation and always encourage cooperation. Don't confront. You will be the loser because the political leadership is at the top. So you may end up the loser. At the end of the day, when the chips are down, they will sacrifice you. Be flexible and accommodating. Sometimes it pays to be pragmatic. You understand that, okay, this is the reality of something. I need to be pragmatic about it and just, So don't be too rigid if you can get away with it. But if it is something that you know that it falls foul of the law and has a potential of very serious repercussions, don't go into it. Better be better be on the safe side than be sorry about it. So, but in all this, what is important is the way we do things. As stakeholders, a win-win relationship, go to 6 years, a win-win situation with all stakeholders need to understand that public service is for the common good of all and not a personal enterprise or for the interest of a few. So if you condition yourself that everything you are doing is for the public good, once you don't put too much or any personal interest in what you are doing, it's easier for you to solve problems and to deal with situations. The individual and collective roles of all are complementary to each other for a common and altruistic purpose, not competitive or a struggle for supremacy. They are not competing. You are supposed to be what you are doing is complementing each other towards a certain set of goals. You must all have a common resolve to exercise the authority and judgment for the public good and for no other purpose. This public good is coming in again, I'm repeating it. Trust is key and must be deliberately cultivated. If you don't look, once there is no trust, there is no relationship. Even in your house, that's the end of it. So to have a very good relationship, there must be trust. And if it is there, you must cultivate it. You must make a deliberate effort to make sure that the people you are dealing with, top and bottom, horizontally, that everybody is, we are working on a position of trust. Trust is key. Then humility is very important. You don't have to, be carrying yourself or, bullying everybody and then because you are something, because I am what I am. No. Be humble. When you're humble, people respect you. And it's a very, very important ingredient of interpersonal relationship. You respect everybody. Every human being deserves some level of respect. And when you are humble, you learn more. I learned this when I was an engineering intern. When we were students, we used to go for industrial training. I was working on a site, and the site engineer left me with the laborers. So I was aspiring to be an engineer, and I was telling myself, this engineer is supposed to be the one to teach me, and he's leaving me with the laborers. But I told myself, no, maybe there is a lot I can learn from the laborers. And I completely blended with them. I was eating with them, eating bread and coke with them and everything. And all those shenanigans that happen on site, I was picking them and learning from them. So humble yourself, and things will work out well. At the end of it all, the entire setup is a system in which one part cannot be effective without the other or the others. So cooperation is the only way to go. I've mentioned that. So to conclude, in whatever position you find yourself, be open, honest, and transparent. Restrain your ego and carry yourself with humility. Learn. Go to 7, please. 7, please. Learn and appreciate your position and limitations. Stay on your lane. If you know that you have limitations, don't try to do any gra-gra. Stay on your lane and improve yourself. Respect your superiors and your peers and your subordinates alike. Have empathy. People love to have people that share in their joyous moments, in their times of grief, and so on. Be competent and knowledgeable. I've mentioned that. Be a team player. Take everybody along. That you're a team player, you're part of the team. If you're the team leader, be the leader of the pack, and make sure you carry everybody along. And then, like I mentioned again, you should build trust and confidence. Be sociable and amiable. Be firm, yet flexible. You can be firm, these are the rules, but if you can bend them a little bit to suit certain situations, that's where pragmatism comes in. You should do that. Accept your human frailties and work on them. You are not perfect. So if you know you have your weaknesses, accept it, and then try to work and improve on those weaknesses. Try to be good to everybody. Then if you are at the top position of authority, exercise it with passion, but with courage. Humility, again, I've mentioned. Wisdom, integrity, and in good faith. Good faith is very, very important. No malice, no nothing, no personal interest, but the public good. So, I wrap up by saying your main goal when you went to, as far as interpersonal relationships are concerned, 8 please, is to make more friends, not adversaries. In any workplace, what you need is to make as many friends as you can and not to make enemies. Some people may not like you for whatever reason, but that is their business. But do not be the one that caused that to happen. It's natural for some people to be interested in you, but always concentrate on just making friends and less enemies. Don't create enemies for yourselves. 2, going to the next slide, you should avoid prejudice and preconceived perceptions. Like I said, especially relationship between politicians and the civil service, you say, them, it's us and them. It's two-way. The politicians also think the same about you. But the most important thing, treat each individual differently. Don't generalize. Look at every situation as it is. Look at every individual as he is and try to, understand what he is. But if you have a preconceived notion that this is what it is, then every judgment of yours, everything you do is going to be governed by that preconception, and that is bad. Bottom line, it all boils down to attitude. Do you have a good attitude or a bad attitude? If your attitude is good, everything will work well. So please always have a positive attitude. But as long as you have the wrong attitude about life, about everything, then things are not going to work well. Finally, unfortunately, some of the senior level people are not here, but there is this comedy that I don't know some of you know. They call it Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister. These are two comedies by BBC, British Broadcasting Corporation. Please try and get those. This is one permanent secretary there, Sir Humphrey. He's a character on that program. Every time I talk to this kind of group with civil servants, I commend you to watch that series of comedy. It's very, very interesting. It shows you how the intrigues and the interplay, you know, in a very humorous way, how civil servants relate with politicians. The game of wits, you know, the competition and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, it works out well somehow. So get it. He's saying here that he has been, for the past 30 years, he has served 11, I think something is missing on the slide, that he had served 11 governments in 30 years. And he was talking about all the dilemma he was in as a permanent secretary. This government has this policy, the other government has an opposite policy. So he's mentioning all those policies as it relates to the British government. And he said, at the end of the day, that even the economic situation, Keynesian and Friedmanite, a grammar school preserver and a destroyer, a nationalization freak and a privatization maniac. That is, different governments come with different policies. But above all, I would have been a stark, staring, raving, schizophrenic. So, you could have run mad, that's what you're saying. But maybe because he was able to manage all the government, the different governments that came, he was still able to maintain his sanity. So it's very important. Please, I commend you to those series of comedies. They are very good for civil servants and politicians alike. I thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a successful outing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, a round of applause for him. I believe there's no other person that has the capacity, the experience, the down without to present this except him. Being a civil servant that rose to the level of permanent secretary and also a minister. So he has seen it all. Please, a round of applause for him. You have seen, before we come in here, we went for a break. And that break was a break and networking. And that is what we are actually assimilating now. When you had the break, how many people did you meet? How did you increase your network? How did you maintain relationship? And how did you create one? These are the reasons why we are here. Because no one is an island. You learn every day. And this is what our engineer, a guru in that field, has just given to us. Please, it's worth knowing. It's a pleasure. I'm quite blessed to be here, and I have learned a lot. And thank you, sir. Majority of them are permanent secretary who are seated here. Yes. So you are really speaking to the right group. Some are directors, some are permanent secretaries, and most of them are coming from states to tap from your wealth of experience. And it's a pleasure being here. Please, this is a time to ask him questions because you hardly meet him. Thank you very much. Please, sir, they will ask some questions before we move. Okay, please. Okay, ladies first. Please. Steve.
Good afternoon, Honorable former Minister and distinguished colleague here. I'm BJ Gbinobaro from Edo State. Thank you so much for this very deep and educative lecture. I have a question based on experience and some complaints from permanent secretaries, the relationship between PSCs and commissioners. Now, what would you advise for a commissioner who would rather prefer to relate directly with directors instead of the permanent secretary. That is one. Secondly, commissioners who go out for official engagement without carrying the ministry along. They meet with stakeholders outside the office. They go into agreement. Nobody in the office is aware. And then 2-3 years they're out of the office. The record of that meeting, the decision of that meeting is not with the ministry. How do we manage this kind of commissioners? Thank you.
So these are some of the intricacies that I talked about. Sometimes about attitude, sometimes it's about ego, and sometimes the elective officials and the government. They say they think they own the government and they can decide to do what they do. You see, Palmsec, the truth of the matter is, like I said, you have to tell truth to power. You should never be afraid of it. At federal level, I think the civil servants are very well protected. It's not easy for a minister. A minister cannot fire a permanent secretary or a director. Even a president cannot do that. If he's a mainstream civil servant, there are procedures to be followed. Unless, and if that should happen, they can quickly get redress in court and so on and so forth. So, but I know the level of governance at state level is worse. I left state level on level 10. So I wasn't in the in the scheme of things. But honestly, the number one thing is you need to sit down your commissioner and tell him the way things are done. Most of them come, they have no idea what government is. I am a commissioner or I'm a minister, I'm the chief executive, it's my house. I can do whatever I like. But even at home, sometimes madam can apply brakes, isn't it? Yeah? So you must learn to do that. There are different cases, different people. Sometimes you do it unwittingly. You can be creative and get some external influences to deal with that kind of situation. But at the end of the day, you just have to find a way and get your boss to be back online to do things the way things are done. It's not proper for the commissioner to deal directly with the directors, but that one, like I say again, you can be a bit flexible. Instead of fighting and coming to argue with the commissioner that why are you doing this, confront him and say this. The directors know that they are reporting to you, isn't it? So you just call them, you go and have your meeting with the directors and leave the riot act at them. Immediately they come out of the minister's office, they must come and download what was discussed, what needs to be done, and then everything that is going back to the minister must go back through your office. And when the minister sees that happening, he has no option. Even if whether he minutes direct to a director, the director must come back to you because you are the chief accounting officer. And the director is a civil servant like you, and he knows that his performance report is in your hands, isn't it? So that's where you wield the big stick. Make the directors fall in line and leave him to continue to do his dreams. He's thinking he's dealing directly with the directors, but they are coming back. At the end of the day, the central processing unit is still your office without his knowledge.
Former Honorable Minister, and I will say my former boss, because I'm a director in the Federal Ministry of Water Resources, and Engineer Suleiman is our immediate past Honorable Minister. And I will tell you this, I've told this story before in one program where he was given an award because he steered the ship of Ministry of Water Resources for 8 years. And I will tell you, he left legacies that we're still leveraging on even at this moment. I can't thank you enough very much. And I'm happy to have another opportunity to also engage with you. if I dare, and maybe with your approval, maybe ride on the coattails of the experience you've just dropped for the official from Edo. I don't know if she attended the morning session where the chairman, Federal Civil Service Commission, was speaking. Not different from exactly what you just said about federal directors being more protected as against state officials when it comes to relationship. In fact, the hall broke into a big laughter when I think the PAMSEC from Borno State raised issues that eventually got to the governor, and the only way that that matter was resolved was for that PAMSEC to get posted out of that ministry. You know, where he was talking about, and he was complaining that the state head of service was unable to even protect them who are civil servants. So I see your wealth of experience, and that's exactly just what it is. You know, I just wanted to leverage on that. Going further with your presentation, sir, I think it also comes from where the bosses are coming from. And I didn't get to deal with you too long because I came into the ministry late, and my department is not technical, so we didn't get to interact as much. But for the few periods we interacted, you know, I understood you and your kind of person, you know. And in that program, I remember I said something. When you work with people and you are going to go, I've worked with bosses. I've had the privilege of working with about maybe 12 ministers across different ministries. But I will tell you, of that 12, you are one of the 3 who said, thank you for the service that you've done. Because he wrote every director in the ministry a letter of appreciation and for cooperating with him to make him achieve those objectives. And I think working with the right bosses also matters. One of the bosses I worked with is late, the then Minister of State, FCT, late Professor Miriam Ikejani Clark. Just like you said, when she came into, when she was appointed, she's a professor of political science. I read political science. But the first thing she did when she came was she just asked for the nominal role, browsed through, saw my name there, saw my qualification, and sent for me. I'm not from our area. It didn't matter. All she wanted was somebody who had the same kind of operational levels with her. And remember what she said. She said, we have taught you guys the theory, but you are already doing the theory and the practical, and I would need you to give me guidance. You mentioned something about trust, diligence, attitude, and I think that is also key in dealing with every boss we're working with. Because first and foremost, you must earn their confidence. Where you don't earn their confidence, then the road is going to be rough for you as a civil servant. The road is going to be rough. If you start on that, once they have that misconception, they can't trust you, you're already in trouble, you know. And I remember the first set of things we did, and she could see as things started moving on because she couldn't even minute files. So I would practically write out what each file would do, and then she would copy it verbatim until it got to a point where she started following. But we had built that trust a lot. And I know in your period with us, you built a lot of trust. In the morning session, there are a lot of directors who came here, I'm sure. They will have mobbed him if they had known he's in this session. A few of them have left. A few are in 1 or 2 other sessions that are doing that. So I think the key thing of what you said is just trust, diligence, attitude, and I think is a key factor. I just wanted to make that contribution because those are benefits we enjoyed from you. Thank you very much, sir. God bless you.
Thank you.
Tom, my brother, my senior brother. In fact, he has talked everything all. He has given us how to relate between the executive and the politicians. what he has lectured us is everything that is taking place. The relationship between executive and public servants, he has seen it all. He was a permanent secretary, he was a minister. Thank you, brother. He has been everything that we are owning for. In fact, I like what to say. He has already lectured us in everything that we need to do as permanent secretaries. You know, the relationship between permanent secretaries and executive, especially the ministers, that is where the problem is. A permanent secretary that will not know how to go with his minister, in fact, it will spell doom to him. We have to have a cordial relationship between the permanent secretary and the minister before the activities of the ministry can proceed seamlessly, as he has already enshrined on his own slides across up to slide number 11. So, my own is just a comment. The comment goes like this. We that are at the side of the public servants, there are a kind of relationship that we have to keep with our executive. Once your relationship is hampering against the policy of the ministry, you have to meet your executive to address the issue. It is not, just like he said on his slides, that the political class and the public servant, it is like you are there, we are here. That is not supposed to be. That is not what's supposed to be. We are supposed to be an integral part of a movement that will deliver common good to Nigerians. Yes, he has already emphasized all this. He has been a public servant. He has been an executive as a minister. He has seen the whole thing. So everything he has told us here is what is happening on ground. So, sir, thank you very much. We cherish your lecture. Your lecture is a wealth of experience to us that we will build on your experience so that we can move this country forward. Earlier, I said my own is a comment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Idoko Enejo Celestine MNI, Permanent Secretary from Kogi State, Office of the Head of Service. Thank you, sir. Permit me to stand on the existing well-established protocol. Sir, you see, I want to sincerely appreciate you for, you have given us your practical or personal experience of what to know. Sir, in a situation, I'm from state, I'm not at the federal. Most of the commissioners they appoint are people that have helped them in carrying ballot papers. Please, I think I have that privilege to enjoy that. I should not be quoted from here. And the press, please don't quote me anywhere. Let us talk. I want to learn. Off record, please.
I want to believe Chatham rules apply here.
Yes, good Chatham rule. God bless you. Also news. So, sir, you see, I want a situation. If at the federal level, when governors are elected or they are being inaugurated, there's need to give them some basic, a kind of orientation to know who and who to form their cabinet. Cabinet most of the times is based on their political allegiance and this thing. And some of them are stark illiterates or thugs who have never been to any public service. Now, as a civil servant, you are posed to work with such a person. The person, what he knows is he knows how to carry gun, and he knows how to make he rig election. Now, when you are coming to advise him, off records.
Well, don't worry.
Okay, so please. Now, you are coming as a director or as a permanent secretary. As the person is coming into the office, he has about 4 or 5 boys who are his errand boys. You see them, you see their eyes, you know that yes, they're up to something. Can I talk? Let us want to hear from our daddy. He has the experience inside and outside. And we are here to we learn. Now, such a person, sorry, I think I'm taking your time. Such a person is not ready. He has his voice, and his voice does the word. And most of the times, his voice, before they are coming, they have developed some friendship within the areas. They are already communicating with maybe executive officers, which they want to deal directly with the commissioner. Before you come as a permanent secretary or director, the commissioner is already frowning. When they want to go on monitoring or maybe a project, you as a permanent secretary or director, you are not even aware. They will make use of their PA. And there was a time I had such opportunity. They brought the file to me. I minted that, please, I don't know when you went out for monitoring and supervision. And as such, I cannot. So it got to a time I noticed that he was making use of one director. I called him. I said, if any time any director passes any file to commissioner without through my office, please make sure that you are no longer going to be in this ministry. Unfortunately, as God could have it for him, that same time I got admission to NIMS, so I left. So when I came back, I was not posted back to that ministry. I went to the office of the head of service. So, sir, now, when you are faced with such problems, how do you navigate or how can you mitigate such relationship to have a good, harmonious relationship? One. Secondly, issue of circumference in service. You see some bosses or some officers, what they want is circumference. By the time they close from work, you see them running quick. You see, it has killed civil service. Before you have prepared your mind to go and bring your boss of what you feel should happen to the ministry, before then, he's already having information from all these refracts. They will go there and paint you black. As you are coming, he doesn't want to see your face. And if you now say, no, Oga, why don't you do that? The next thing you pick a call to your head of service. Please post this person away from me. Thank you, sir.
Well, I think I better stand up. First of all, I sympathize with you, and I think under that situation, maybe the best thing is for you to move to federal service, whether it's saner. There's more sanity there. I know a lot of things that are happening in states. I can tell you, since without any fear of contradiction, every time I've been saying this forever, the biggest problem of development in this country is at state level. It's not really the federal level. Most of the challenges are at state level. There is hardly any policy or any program that the federal government has not introduced. Economic, security, name it. Even this security crisis, it's at state level. When a governor appoints his houseboy as chairman of local government, who doesn't know anything? All he put it there simply because he wants him to sign at the end of the month to collect local government funds. What do you expect? He doesn't even know why he's there. That's how there's a breakdown of security. There is nothing wrong with security architecture in this country. The problem is with the operatives. and it's the politics. Every nonsense it can be excused by politics, and that is politics now. Politics is not madness. Politics is supposed to be an open a gateway for development, but in our country we've turned it upside down. So I don't know, MNI, maybe you've heard of force majeure. So maybe it's a special situation in your case, you know. But I know these things happen. Honestly, at the end of the day, they say preservation is the first law of nature. If something is going to borders on your own personal security, I think you have a duty to protect yourself first. And to do that, you have to just have the common sense to do what you have to do. You should know when to retreat from the battle. I think that's just the long and short of it. But what I have said about attitude is not a one-way thing. It's a two-way thing. So for the relations to be good, both parties must have the right attitude. It's not only that you have the right, if you have the right attitude, the other party doesn't have the right attitude, it's not going to work. You know? But the only thing is that if he doesn't have the right attitude, you can try to convince to change his attitude. That is the other thing, that why we say have empathy, humility, tell truth to power, and so on and so forth. But beyond that, this is a special situation that I think you only have to look at the situation yourself and try to just, but like I say, you should know when to run away from the battle, because certainly the governance and the sophistication of governance and the level of quality of governance at federal level, you cannot compare it at all with what is happening at states. I think in most states, governance has totally collapsed, honestly. So I think my advice to you is just for you to find your way to the Federal Civil Service. That is a saner climate.
Thank you. Just for the last one, please.
You all know, sir, it's a privilege to be allowed to speak. And I thank God that I'm speaking last based on the perception of possible collapse at state level of governance. I'm Dr. Tunde Aremu. I'm from Oyo State. I'm a permanent secretary. I saw you laugh, and I saw that you laugh heartily, sir. I found out that people want to be happy. They don't want to laugh. They want to celebrate. So in Oyo State, the head of service has created a forum for us to celebrate people's birthday with them so that we laugh and rejoice. And I think it's a culture that we need to reinvent in places, because when you celebrate people's birthday, you give them a sense of self-worth. From that self-worth perception, even if they don't want to perform, we have said they are good, they can do it. It gives them the self-belief to be able to do it. So I thank you, sir. The second thing I want to say, sir, is the overall perception of the fear of God, so that we know that our interaction is not just between human beings. There's also an higher power. Sir, my question is that what is your perception of the friend of the office and friend from the office? Thank God that you have office, and you said you still maintain relationship with those. How do you carry along the friend of the office to become friend from the office? I thank you, sir.
Like I said in one of the final slides I had, I said your goal is to make friends, as many friends as possible, and to have fewer adversaries. That is very, very important. And your interpersonal relationship is very key in doing that. I have learned over time that, especially under this political dispensation, and especially when you are in a high level of office, the friends that you knew before, don't abandon them. Those are your friends. I know in this country, I remember when former President Buhari waited till November to appoint ministers. Everybody was shouting, in this government, Baba go slow. He's not appointing ministers. I asked people, I say, is there no governor? Is the government not running? Government was running. The vice president was like the head of government. He was like a prime minister, at least before, doing all the coordinating all the government. All the permanent secretaries were doing their work. They were given, the unfettered access to the president to report and so on and so forth. I say the only reason why people are shouting, why are there no ministers, because they want to see who are the ministers, so that they will know who is mine and who is not. That's it. That's the mentality in this country. So by the time we are appointed, everybody is quiet. Everybody was looking. Who is from? I say, who do I know? Who do I not know? And then you start seeing people that you have not seen for 100 years knocking on your doors. Or you start seeing people talking to, I remember you, didn't remember me, blah, 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 blah. All taking position. I used to call them shuntas, they are going, jumping the queue, But it pays for you to keep your friends. Even if as minister or at any position, you are not able to help them because you can't help everybody. And you are restricted by certain things. If you say you want to help everybody, you run into trouble. There are certain things that you can't do. What is important is you relate with your friends and explain to them. Don't shy away. Don't refuse to take people's phone calls, especially people that you know. If you can't take the call, make sure when you close, you call back. Or if you can just send a text and say, I'll call you later. That's fine. But don't abandon those friends that you used to have before you became who you are. The ones that you have got new, take them with as a pinch of salt. Peripheral, yeah, that's the word. You have some that will add value to you, to your work. You should be able to identify that. And at the end of the day, those of them that truly are genuine, you will see that even when you leave office, they'll still be looking for you. Those that were really there, the ones that you described, what did you call them? From the office. You are out of office, they would go. You will not see them again. I can tell you there are a few people that after I left office, I'll call them, they will not pick my call, and they've never called me back. I don't know what it is, whether they think I want a ticket to go to Mecca or something, I don't know. Just to say hello, wallahi, that's all. Because I thought we had had a good relationship, but they will not even take your call. But there are a lot of others that also call you and say, Honorable Minister, I'm just checking on you. How are you? How is the family? So those are the ones that you know. And one thing I know, when I was made minister, a friend of mine had a reception for me in Kaduna. And I went to that reception. Lots of people that I knew from my days from when I was on level 8 and from school and so on. And when I was asked to speak, I told them, I'm going to do this work. I'm going to be a minister. But I want to assure you that I will never change. That this me that you are seeing today, what you see today is what you will get at the end of the day. And those guys were still together. So that's the way to go. And that's how to maintain relationship. All relationship that you know, keep them. Don't say because you have changed position. But those new friends are not your friends. Believe me. Thank you very much.
Please, a round of applause for the minister, please. A minister is always a minister, and we are find ourselves lucky to be here. Before we go for another section, please give me a round of applause and let all of us come out to have a good picture with him. I have seen people from Ministry of Water Resources. All of them are stood here with their colors. Welcome. Please, group picture. How are you, man? Get on, Thank you, sir. That's what we're doing.
water is precious. It sustains life.